Bertha James Centre is a day facility for the elderly, where its customers can receive a wide variety of services that can support them and enhance their quality of life. Visitors can take advantage of essential provisions such as hairdressing and being bathed, or take part in more social activities and lunches. Operated by Age Concern, it was established in 1972 and named after Lady Mayor Bertha James, who was a leading champion for care for the elderly in the 1960s. Bertha James was born in 1897 and was actively involved in helping others for most of her adult life. During World War II she drove ambulances, and in 1946 began working in government, where she was dedicated to helping the elderly and setting up various committees and organisations. Among these were Talking Books for the Blind and Chislehurst and Sidcup Old People's Welfare. Bertha became Alderman of Bromley in 1960 and served as Mayor from 1970 to 1971. Her work was so renowned and prolific that she was the recipient of an OBE. Bertha James died in 1982, but her legacy lives on in the centre that bears her name. The staff here today state that the centre cannot operate without its volunteers. Well, here we are at the Bertha James Day Centre in Bromley. First of all, would you mind telling us your name and how old you are?
Eric Bratton, and I'm 84.
Okay, thank you, Eric. And how long is it that you've been volunteering here at the centre?
I say, I can only guess, about 22, probably 22 years.
How did you get into volunteering?
My wife had died, and I was looking for the Daily Shopper or something, and there was a phone number in there, and I don't know why I ever phoned it up, and it just said volunteers, and I phoned it up. It was didn't say Age Concern or anything, and a person answered that was at Blythe Road of Bromley, and she said to me, What do you want to do? I said, well, do you want drivers? And she said, we don't want drivers here, she said. This is just a residential house. She said, but Bertha James might want one. So I rang Bertha James here. And she said, yeah, come down, an interview, and I got the job.
Okay, so did you have to undergo any training before you could actually start this volunteer?
No. We didn't, not really, no. As we progressed the first, I think, the first couple of years, we had to undergo handling. It was the most important. People like a stroke, which you couldn't grab them under the arm that they've had a stroke in, because that is fatal, isn't it? You know, because the person you hurt. But we had to go that training, and then a wheelchair training, and in the ambulance we had to have fire training. They fill it with smoke, and then you have to get people out that was in there. They could all walk like from the office, so you had to find them in the smoke and get them out, and they tell you what to say and everything else. We had to do first aid. We used to go on a 4-day course at Beckenham Hospital, and you learnt about the first aid actually, and then in that first aid you learnt all about calories and overweight, and I'm not affecting you, am I? Yeah, overweight, and which was enjoyable, but I don't think the men. It was me and one of the girls who used to volunteer. We was only two of us here doing this training, like, and I didn't understand what they were talking about, because they was talking about fats, and I never had any shopping. What's shopping? I mean, that was the worst thing to ask anybody about, like, you know. But the girl did. She understood it, and it was very good, you know. And so really, one instance was in the training as such. I'd come out of Jackson's Road along by the Bromley bus go, and I had about 10 people members in, and And as we come out, this woman got in the car, the member, like, into the ambulance, and she had forgotten to lock her doors. So I locked her doors up and made sure the lights were out and everything else, which we did do. And we had no escorts then. You didn't have escorts in the ambulances. And when we got up Bromley Common, I looking in the mirror, in the inside mirror, and I could see she was really on the way passing out. So I stopped the ambulance and went back to her, and so she was hyperventilating, and I'm kneeling down by the side of her, and I'm saying, slowly, breathe slowly. And I've gradually got her to breathe and settle down. On the way back, one of the passengers said to me, was you proposing to her?
Yes. Now, Eric, you've given us examples of some good days and some bad days, but can you cast your mind back to your very first day as a volunteer and how you felt and what you had to do on that very first day?
In the centre, actually, I didn't. When I first started here, I hardly, when you'd come in the centre, I was always out driving. You go around, you do a collection. I say a collection of members, like. Then you come back. They all come in. You with the council ones, you're separate really, but they didn't like it because we was a volunteer driver, and they were paid, and they thought you was doing them out of a driver's job. Simple as that. That's how it is. And but then you come back, and it was always something to do. I started to drive, like letters to deliver and all that, like personal letters, like for the staff or something like that, and that. So the only time I got really to see how the centre was run was in the afternoon, and then the girls used to take the tea round, and then I used to go into the kitchen and do the washing up for them because I couldn't do anything till 3 o'clock, till it was time for them to go home. So that's how I used to spend my time mostly.
You mentioned that volunteers help with the garden.
Yeah.
Can you explain that to us?
Well, most of the work is done by Gary. He's the driver. He's the paid driver. He's a carer and all. He's qualified to be a carer. And but if they want anything made quick, I'll make it. That thing over there. Can I take you over there?
Of course.
You see, there's a person who was interested in gardening, but he couldn't bend down. They took it all out now. So it took me about a couple of hours. I knocked this together for him, right? Screwed it to the wall. So he can't pull it on his shelf, like, But and he had all these different things growing in here at one time. So he can spend an hour out here doing it. Yeah, it's as simple as that. It's quite easy, really.
Yeah. How has volunteering helped you, and how have you helped the community by doing volunteering?
Well, I can't answer that last one because I don't know. I haven't got a clue. How do you mean, what helped?
How has it helped you, or how has it changed your life?
I don't think volunteering changes your life, really. It's the thing is, you've got to have a certain talent, I think. Talent, really, in a way. You've got to want to volunteer. Some volunteers just volunteer to say that they can talk to people. So, I'm volunteering for there, Are you any of you volunteers? Are you volunteers? Well, you know what I'm talking about, really, is that I think you've got to have a certain aptitude towards it.